Vampires V-Rising's 1.0 update is live, and there are thousands of players across the world picking up the game for the first time. Things have changed, and with the release of new content comes new systems you'll want to master. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we're sharing the best ways to farm Incursions and what you can do with all those Stygian Shards. Let's start with the basics and build a quick foundation here because Incursions are a completely new system within V-Rising's 1.0 update. On the east side of Verderon are the Ruins of Mortium, a zone filled with Dracula's army. These enemies feature Draculan blood, which you can learn more about in our full blood guide video. Periodically throughout the day, Tier 1 or Tier 2 incursions will activate, and major points of interest within the Ruins of Mortium will become active. During an incursion, a massive central crystal will shoot out a black tendril towards another part of that same point of interest. These bosses take the shadowy form of a specific V-Blood boss, and the Tier 2 incursion bosses actually use an enhanced moveset similar to what the bosses use in the Brutal game mode. Once you kill the Primal Blood Soul, the central crystal shatters and you can scoop up the loot. So why do incursions matter, and what's the loot potential for doing these activities? First and foremost, Stygian Shards are used to unlock passive bonuses for your entire clan at the Altar of Stygian Awakening. These bonuses persist through death and enhance effects related to each of the schools of magic. Stygian Shards can also be traded into the Vampire Merchants found in the Ruins of Mortium or Ancestral Weapon Shards, which can be crafted into full-blown weapons. The Vampire Merchant in the south of the ruins sells blue shattered weapons, and honestly, these aren't worth investing in as you'll quickly gain access to better gear. The merchant in the north, however, does sell purple gear, and these are worth investing in. There's even a hidden loot table with the vendor up north. All items have a small chance to roll into a legendary shattered weapon when you buy them, so this definitely is worth the investment. Greater Stygian Shards are also necessary for crafting certain items at your various stations, including Tier 4 Spell Jewels and Obsidian, a primary ingredient used to make siege golems. Of course, there's also a wide array of standard loot you can pick up from farming the Ruins of Mortium, but Bat Hide is one worth calling out as it's used to create bat leather, which is necessary for crafting and repairing endgame armor. Finally, both Tier 1 and Tier 2 incursions have a chance to drop important research books, and more importantly, legendary gems and shattered weapons. This is really why you'd want to set some time aside to do incursions, because these items are the best in the game currently, and if you're on a PvP server, that edge is going to matter if you're attacking or defending castles. Shards can actually be farmed at any point, not just during incursion windows. Obviously, the yield is much smaller, but it is possible if you want to avoid the intensity of the actual event. In the South Fortress Ruins, a level 57 area, you can find Stygian Shards. Killing enemies, breaking crystals, breaking containers in that area, and even locked chests will all reward Stygian Shards. Dracula's Garden Castle, a level 80 plus area, is where you can find greater Stygian Shards. Killing enemies, breaking crystals, breaking containers in that area, and even locked chests will all reward you with those greater Stygian Shards. I should also mention that the new Soul Shard system comes into play here. If you're lucky enough to claim a Soul Shard from one of the final 4 bosses, you'll need to manage its durability, and the only way to do that is by killing Tier 2 incursion final bosses. Here's the thing, you need to be wearing the Soul Shard amulet when killing the boss to restore its durability, taking it far outside the safety of a castle and making you vulnerable to enemy attack. This is huge and provides another option for player power to change hands outside of raiding. Here's the thing, the key with incursions is speed, mainly for 2 reasons. The first is that incursions are a timed event, and while they're not rare enough to set your clock for a specific time of day, they are only active for a short period of time at any given time. The faster you can clear incursions, the more loot you get. It's that simple. The second reason why speed matters is only relevant if you're playing on a PvP server. With incursions and Stygian Shards being a highly sought after resource, you better believe everyone on the server has their eye on that prize. If you're slow and sloppy, you'll be easy pickings for players who are constantly out for blood and resources. The faster you can farm, the safer you'll be, but there's no silver bullet when it comes to farming on a PvP server. You're just doing what you can to protect yourself, your team, and your resources. With that in mind, the key to clearing incursions fast is preparation. Of course, you need to have the proper gear. Tier 1 incursions are doable for players above level 57 gear score, and Tier 2 incursions are doable for players above a level 80 gear score. But obviously, the closer you can get to 90, the current cap in the game, the better. You'll also want to make sure you have the best possible spell gems equipped because, like I said, you'll be cutting through waves of Draculan enemies. Of course, this requires you to kill the right V-Bloods to gain access to the proper crafting stations and gem cutting, but that's all part of the progression process, something we talk about in our Get OP Fast video. Good preparation also means having the right potions equipped, and currently that means having a Potion of Rage, Witch Potion, and Dracula Brew. Each potion lasts for 60 minutes and persists through death. They also give you an important edge during combat, which impacts your incursion performance in any unsuspecting PvP. Finally, you need high-quality blood, which is just as important as having good armor and weapons. As you know, blood provides different bonuses depending on the type of blood and quality that you consume. Again, we go through all the blood types and how to track down and maintain an effective prison in our blood guide video, so check that out. If you're on a PvP server, the Ruins of Mortium is perilous. In fact, that's why they call it a conflict zone, because the idea is to bring players out of their castles to fight for shards. It's a smart move by the developers since before 1.0, there really wasn't much of a reason to leave your castle outside of farming mats and raiding bases. If you are playing on a PvP server, here are some things to consider. First is to always come with potions. Not the buff ones we're talking about, but actual health potions, either Rose Blood or Rose Brew. This is a no-brainer for most PvP players, but sometimes it's worth stating the obvious. A second rule of thumb is to not get greedy. This is essential in survival games, especially when clan versus clan combat is commonplace. With a full server of 60 players and clan sizes of just 4, that means 56 other people are keeping an eye on incursions, and that one extra run could mean you walk away with nothing instead of something. This is always a balancing act, but it's something you have to be mindful of. A couple hundred shards is better than no shards at all, so remember, don't get greedy. Finally, as far as speed goes, remember to use your wolf form during your farming. As soon as you defeat a wave of enemies, pop wolf form and collect all of the loot as fast as possible and book it to that next location. Those few extra seconds might not matter in the moment, but in the big picture, it could shave off minutes, which, as we've established, is huge. So there you have it, everything you need to know about the new Ruins of Mortium endgame zone and some important tips for making the most of the new system. Stygian Shards are incredibly powerful, so try and knock out incursions whenever possible so you can supercharge your progression and take advantage of every possible power option. As always, if you like our V-Rising content, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. We've got more content coming your way, so keep it here and never miss a thing. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.